Welcome back to another episode of the How Powerful series. Today, finally, we're going to talk about a man who ultimately caused all of his problems. And I know that sounds rather convoluted, because today, none of the events that we would speak about would be possible if he hadn't originally failed. Cole McGrath was a normal bike carrier in the metropolis of Empire City. But there was something special about Cole. Buried deep down within Cole was the next stage of human evolution, the Conduit gene. On its own, it couldn't make him any different than any other human. But once he was tricked into activating a bomb that decimated the city, killing thousands to channel their energies into him, Cole became something much greater. Created by Sucker Punch Studios, recently known for works the like of Ghost of Tsushima, the infamous series is one of my favorite video game franchises ever. The game features a semi-open world action RPG setting with high action combat, decent lore, and an action-based karmic system that to this day is still rather unique amongst video games. With this series stretching over Infamous 1 and 2 and onto Infamous Second Son and the DLC, most of which we won't be referring to as some of those other characters and destined are not Cole. Like most of my videos, I'll be detailing Cole's backstory and providing my thoughts on the events and how it all funnels towards the inevitable question: how powerful is Cole McGrath? Also, I know we get tired of hearing it, but it's rough in the world right now, so leave a like on the video. Likes quite literally are one of the few lifelines content creators have. That being said, today we'll be going in depth about Cole, his origins, abilities, feats, villains, and of course, with my own narrative spin. Cole's early life is only hinted and referenced indirectly in comics or memories throughout the series, but we know that Cole was born the eldest son to a traditional family, his father being either emotionally or verbally abusive and demanding of Cole's efforts, and his mother disapproving of her son's job as a bike carrier. She even went as far as to lie to others that Cole was a school teacher, as he never had gained a job respectable enough. Cole even had a younger brother who he also reportedly fell out of contact with, and we kind of get the sense that Cole was more of the failed prodigal son. Going on, Cole's college life isn't much better, as he dropped out 6 credits short of graduation after a dispute with his professor about a certain friend. Cole's dropping out led to years of, I'd assume, exploring himself and pissing off his parents in his own words, and eventually he ended up becoming a bike carrier and was the conduit for a much bigger series of events. On a normal day as a bike messenger, Cole was assigned to deliver a package to someone located in the historic district of Empire City. After receiving a phone call from his boss, Cole made his way to the intersection of 19th and Slow. He meets up with a client telling him he's got the wrong address. Immediately after, Cole receives a call from an anonymous source to open the package. Initially, Cole refuses, but after they offered an additional $500 for opening the package, Cole did as he was told. The package revealed the Marais sphere, which immediately activated, resulting in a devastating explosion that destroyed 5 square blocks of the historic district, killing thousands of civilians and draining their energy, all concentrated into Cole. The aftermath was a citywide blackout, the deaths of thousands, and the eventual quarantine of the city and formation of a crater now known as Ground Zero. And in the very center of that crater was Cole. After making it to safety, Cole is saved and learned he's gained superpowers, specifically the power of electrokinesis, that over time grew into much more. Initially, Cole's powers were somewhat of a curse. He couldn't ride in cars, he couldn't use guns, nor normal cell phones. Essentially, Cole became a living battery, and I really think this probably affected his bathing. This pseudo-awakening of his powers is what designates Cole as a conduit. Now, what are conduits? Conduits are the result of a rare genetic mutation within some humans and animals. The extensively named conduit gene is naturally occurring. The gene is for the most part dormant within the host, with carriers of the conduit gene normally displaying no powers at birth and could potentially live their whole lives without ever realizing their naturally inherent abilities, with even fewer identifying even in that conduit potential. There are rarely natural born and empowered conduits, and subsequently there are several different types of conduits, Cole being, in my opinion, a prime conduit, activated by the detonation of the Marais sphere, which was viewed to be a highly sought after feat of scientific discovery. Though conduits can be activated without a Marais sphere, this specifically showing up in the cases of Quo and how John, aka the Beast, gained the ability to turn other people into conduits. Now, in terms of powers and abilities, Cole is very similar to many of our favorite electric users like Johnny Bolt from the Super Crook series, Static Shock, or etc. etc. As a conduit, Cole possesses electrokinesis. With this ability, one one is able to channel electricity in and out of their body, which can be made use of as a weapon and both as a way of recovering from injuries. This also allows Coles to steal other people's electric energy and has the byproduct ability of electromagnetism, which allows him to charge and levitate objects and control their speed and power. And his ability to drain others allows him to utilize other Conduit's abilities later on in the series. This including ice manipulation from Quo, napalm manipulation from Nyx, and in the DLC, vampirism and vampiric-like abilities, though once again, not gonna cover that in depth in this video. Cole's control of electricity is, like I said, somewhat of a curse, as he did become a living battery. Unable to use conventional tools, Cole's usage of electricity shown it has been continuously growing to be highly adaptive. In situations where he may be injured, he can electrically drain other sources of energy and heal his wounds within seconds by absorbing electricity from electrical outlets, car batteries, or people. This extends to draining the energy directly from the clouds above during a stormy day, meaning on a cloudy day, normal day, muggy, nobody's feeling good outside, Cole would have literally infinite levels of energy to draw from. As I said previously, he can rip the life force out of people and recharge himself, something rather iconic to the evil playthrough and never got old in my opinion, because it was free electricity and bad karma, as we all know it was way easier to rank up being evil than good. But anyway, Cole can also read others' bioelectrical auras to see people's memories and where they've been recently, almost like he's a psychic. This vision allows Cole to gaze back through people's lives and in some cases witness events where he was not present. Beyond that, he is able to just generally see large pockets of electricity, so Cole will be able to seek out and find potential energy sources to fuel him. Properly amped, Cole can fire lightning bolts, which in their basic form are a quick and simple bolt of electricity fired from the hand, which giving the distance and speed Cole targets and fires would put his attack's base level on the equivalent speed of lightning. He can create shock waves or electrical blasts, producing range waves of energy strong enough to knock around people, their belongings, or cars. His electrokinetic control is so precise he can redirect rocket fire. A typical RPG fires the grenade at the tip at a speed of 294 meters a second or 660 miles per hour. Cole is already reacting to that, so we would easily be able to put his reaction speed as close to breaking sound. In addition to his electrical control, Cole is incredibly nimble, being extremely adept in parkour and rooftop exploration, a trait gained in his rebellious college years. When dropping from high heights, Cole can execute the Thunder Drop, where he charges electricity while falling from a great height to create a massive electrical shockwave when he lands. When he hits the ground, he lands with enough force to crack the pavement for several meters and send anything in the vicinity flying back, this often resulting in injured civilians. Luckily, Cole is not just a battery but a walking defibrillator of sorts, as he has a healing touch and can heal people's injuries, and this even goes down to natural inborn illnesses like poisoning or, I only presume, internal bleeding. Cole can also form physical constructs of his electricity and even use bands of electricity to strap a person's hands and feet to the ground, immobilizing them. These constructs also include throwing shock grenades, balls of electricity with either immediate or delayed explosions capable of sticking to targets and clearing out rubble. And as he grows, he's able to create several more at once and detonate them all at the same time, which in the comics was capable of tearing a hole in an aircraft carrier's metal ceiling. With a distinct lack in the ability to use cars, Cole uses electricity to accelerate himself along structures that have currents running through them, like power lines or train tracks, doing so at incredibly high speeds. Cole's electrical control can directly alter his brain's perception of time, which enhances his vision and make a singular precise shot, showing that Cole's time perception is already that of a superhuman level. And Cole's abilities still don't stop there. He has electromagnetic flight via propulsion. His energy rockets get even stronger, being able to destroy cars and buildings on contact. He can generate polarity walls in front of him that can easily stop high caliber bullets ranging from handguns, even though he pretty much has an immunity to small caliber weapons, assault rifles, or even helicopter bullets. Cole can stop practically any gun and make it useless. This proves Cole's electrokinesis is highly adept, as he's able to lift and hold heavy objects in the air before launching them, this extending to several ton objects like cars that he can throw great distances. And of course, one of Cole's signature attacks, and perhaps one of the most powerful, is the lightning storm, where he brings down continuous strikes of lightning in a path in front of him capable of easy plowing through people, conduits, buildings, and vehicles. In the DLC, he actually even point blank hit Bloody Mary with this and tore a hole to the cathedral below. Literally speaking, a single stray lightning bolt is so powerful it could power a town and heat the air around it to 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or 5 times the heat of the sun. Cole can at will call down a cascade of lightning, this move being the one he often uses to finish his opponents with. Now, going forward, you see we can rank Cole even in his early days as a high level conduit. I'd perhaps scale him as city level, considering his attacks are still around the output of megaton bombs. As his control of electricity extended, he began even more beyond practical applications. But now for a spoiler alert. If you haven't played Infamous games, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's been over a decade since their releases, so either get yourself a PS3 or keep watching. Now, throughout Cole's battles in Infamous and Infamous 2, he encounters other prime conduits, people who, before or after the Ray Sphere's detonation, had similar abilities to Cole. These battles act as catalysts to further strengthen Cole, and I'll be listing them as such. Before and after during these battles, Cole gains new powers, whether through acting as a literal conduit for underground transformers or development of his powers from experience or usage. And he also gains additional power-ups by once again collecting blast shards or fragments of the charged materials left after the initial Ray Sphere event. Cole's first battle against another conduit was his twisted ex-girlfriend, Sasha. Sasha was a conduit with the ability to create black tar that could also influence and manipulate people's mind. But it really didn't have that big of an effect on Cole, perhaps that was due to his own electric regeneration. Sasha uses her tar to infect the city and dope the entire faction that she has dubbed the Reapers. And in Cole's battle with Sasha, we see Cole once again has a resistance to not only her mental manipulation, but also just the environmental manipulation that she puts out. In the battle, we see that he is far more than powerful enough to defeat her in a one-on-one, and this is even in, once again, Sasha's own territory. Cole was fast enough to track her near instant speed teleportation through the tar, and even redirect her shockwaves of tar, ultimately ripping out her attachments and electrocuting her, where she is later rescued, then tortured by Kessler. But another feat here, Cole survives the direct impact of the bomb used to blow its way into the subways. Next is Alden. Alden was born son of the leader of the First Sons and was even at birth a powerful mentalist. However, due to Kessler's intervention, he ended up mentally ill, orphaned, and homeless on the streets of Empire City, until honing his powers at an old age and becoming a prime conduit. When Cole meets Alden for the first time, we hear Cole even admit that Alden is more powerful than he was, and at this time Cole was still around like Megaton level. With a flick of his wrist, Alden lifts and throws a bus full of people on top of a skyscraper. Later, we see Alden can animate scrap golems from a distance, which Cole's lightning bolts are strong enough to shatter the limbs off of. In Cole versus Alden, we have to remember in-game to sedate Alden, Zeke and the cops strapped him to a box spring with 5,000 volts of electricity surging through him, so we can assume he has a high electrical resistance. In their final battle, Alden creates a massive golem-like scrap monster to fight Cole atop a shattered bridge. At this point, Cole, having grown more powerful, easily defeats Alden, dodging massive boulders and molten shrapnel, and once again sets the bar for himself by defeating another prime conduit, though Alden might still be alive. From here, we can grasp that Cole, in under a month of using his powers in combat situations, has grown continuously more strong, defeating every enemy set in front of him and gaining new abilities in the process, which is why the final conduit battle in Infamous 1 is the one we see truly helps us understand how powerful Cole could be. Enter Kessler. So, massive spoiler alert for this next part. Once again, if you haven't played this decade-old game, please go do so. Kessler is Cole. Cole from the future. Kessler is the sole individual responsible for the events of Infamous 1 and technically 2. He is the one who requests Cole's bike courier services, the one who offered Cole an additional $500 to open the package containing the Ray Sphere, and the one who set in place all of the obstacles placed in front of Cole to make sure he progressed through his developing stages as a conduit, meaning Sasha, Alden, the Reapers, the quarantine of Empire City. It was all orchestrated by Kessler. Kessler as Cole developed his powers in, I'd assume, an alternate way, was well acquainted with his abilities. In his timeline, he had a mortal enemy emerge, a monster, a conduit known as the Beast, that was hell intent on extinguishing all human life. Kessler at the time could have stopped the Beast, but instead chose to flee and save his family, leaving the rest of humanity to fend for themselves and tend to their own fates. As you've noticed with Alden, for example, if left alone, Conduits will only continue to grow more and more powerful. The Beast hunted Kessler for years, all the while getting stronger and stronger until it was finally evenly a match, if not more powerful than Kessler, and by then, it was too late. And all Kessler could do was watch as everything that he had longed to protect ended, and it all meant nothing. Because of the shame and grief of losing his family and failing the world, Kessler used his newly developed and possibly most dangerous power to send himself on a one-way trip back in time to fix what he had failed. He disposed the leader of the First Sons and began settling in place. Every single domino he needed to find Cole and accelerate his development, he found, set into place, and orchestrated brilliantly, all so he would be ready. Kessler went as far as to destroy Cole's life, kill the woman they loved, all to cut off his emotions so he would make the best choices possible, because he would need to be at his most powerful, most cunning, most brutal if he would ever face the beast that had bested Kessler. In the final battle, we see that Kessler is far above Cole's level, and if anything, let him win. He displays all of the abilities that Cole has gained throughout the entire series, but even more adeptly. He possesses the ability to make energy avatars, form mechanized constructs from his lightning, instant teleportation that is either full teleportation, or Kessler has achieved the ability to turn himself into electricity, seismic manipulation, and similar to Cole can even leave charged orbs of energy that detonate on timers, not to mention his ability of time travel. Similar to how Cole could see visions of people's memories and actions, Kessler could implant images into people's head, and at the end of their battle, after Cole releasing everything he had, does this, showing Cole the twisted world that he lived to ensure this all happened. In my opinion, Kessler's story sounds legit. Why else would he speak to Cole how he did, warning Cole that simple mistakes had great consequences? In fact, Kessler truly abandoned his life as Cole McGrath to make sure he, in an alternate timeline, even had a fighting chance. But what he did was push Cole to physical and mental brinks to show him his powers and how to make the best decisions when the moment comes. Overall, Kessler was an amazing story anchor for the infamous series, and could even have a prequel game of his own in my opinion. Hint hint, looking at you, Sucker Punch. Honestly, it was a good showcase of how powerful we will become, but with that, we'll wrap up the ending of Infamous 1. Good or bad, Cole is still seen overlooking Empire City, vowing that he would be ready, or that he would still, fuck off just like he did with his parents. But either way, when the beast came, he would be there. Now we transport to Infamous 2. Once again, if you're still watching the video, leave a little click on that like button just to help us out in the algorithm. But just as Infamous 2 starts with a comic book recaps of the events after saving Empire City, as the good ending is canon. Boo. We see Cole has met Agent Quo, an NSA agent who plans to connect Cole with one of the original creators of the Ray Sphere and further strengthen him to fight the inevitable beast. The first cinematic begins with Cole and Zeke overlooking Empire City and preparing to depart to New Marais, a New Orleans-style town where Cole and Zeke had spent some time in their youth. The laid-back conversations get cut short by the emergence of the Beast, and with this, we see the power of technically pre-Infamous 2 Cole. The Beast's arrival destroys parts of the city, and he instantly chucks a massive statue towards Cole's direction. When finally coming face to face with the Beast, we can see it is several stories tall and a man-like being resembling a molten creature. The Beast shows automatic authority and responds to Cole's attacks, generating a gravitational-like field around it and suspending Cole in the air. Here we see Cole has perhaps nigh unlimited amounts of energy and actually proves to be a match for the Beast, hovering in midair like a classic David versus Goliath fight. In this fight, Cole defies the black hole-like effects of the Beast's abilities, directly negating the force of its pull with his thrusters, and judging by the speed at which other objects were flying into the Beast, Cole was likely flying against hurricane-level winds, and after an epic final attack of the Thunderstorm, Cole seemingly bests the Beast, which, if you couldn't tell, foreshadowed something much worse. Before he can make it back to the ship, Cole is surprised attacked by none other than the Beast. Here, Cole withstands the grip of the Beast and once again calls down a torrent of lightning. This time, however, pass due to some type of interface between the two of them, Cole loses his abilities and is essentially reset and left powerless and broken in the harbor. The Beast, having won, regenerates and goes on to destroy Empire City as Cole flees. This harsh intro set the tone for Infamous 2 for me as a rush against time. We face the Beast, the source of all of our life's problems, hell, even the source of a secondary life's problems, and we still lost. From here, we arrive in New Marais, and Cole gains the Amp, a tool capable of finally handling Cole's electric output, which in my opinion should have been essentially scaled higher, but he was powered down from the Beast after this battle, so whatever. Upon entering New Marais, Cole is instantly plunged back into combat against, as he put it, fascist Hicks. We see Cole essentially still possesses heightened durability and his healing factor. Infamous 2 essentially becomes Cole in, once again, a race against time to regain his prior power or greater to fight the Beast. The Beast, I'd rank, is already large island or even continental, as it chased Cole down the eastern coast of the United States and quite literally decimated every single city and population center on its way, meaning even the American government couldn't stop it, but we'll get to more feats on the Beast in a second. So Cole at the start of the Infamous 2 series was already powerful enough to damage the Beast, maybe even defeat it if he were a little more aware of it popping up or just not as careless in battle, I guess you could say. Unlike the Infamous 1 part of the video where I structure Cole's progress off his boss fights and abilities gained, in Infamous 2 we only really have 4 boss fights, and some of them being locked behind karma decisions. So to get a scope of Cole's power, we have to consider his upgrades to what we can call Prime Cole, and that is what I consider the one who originally fought the Beast. Now Cole doesn't really showcase anything we haven't seen in the original game, and we'll be trying to go over his specific enhancements as far as I can see them. So along with story progression, I think we can clock Cole's power scaling with his absorption of blast cores, as he unlocked the Ionic Vortex after his first core and received a form of power or new one for every subsequent core absorbed. Throughout his struggles in New Marais, we can confirm even depowered, Cole is still incredibly durable. Like when he gets hit in the head by an attack helicopter mid-flight and then destroys it, and in the comics he's commonly even shown destroying multiple different types of aircraft. He survived a head-on collision with another truck while on the back of said vehicle, and the resulting crash of which proved lethal to some of the other passengers. Now, depending on your decisions, Cole gains a suite of new abilities that I didn't see in Infamous 1, and I would say are either key to Cole's adaptability or were just him creating new powers altogether. We see the Tesla missile, electric rockets he can fire remotely control. These, I believe, he uses his sense of electricity to navigate with, and he can also link different transformers with human beings. He gains the lightning tether that quite literally for me almost had the game crossover into Spider-Man territory if they just increased the frame data on it more, let us activate it more after jumping. But in the tightly woven city of New Marais, the lightning tether was a surprisingly good addition to urban travel. Cole also partners up and encounters several new conduits, the first of which we already know, Agent Quo. See, after the car crash that disabled Cole and killed Dr. Wolf, Quo is kidnapped and experimented on by the militia and Bertrand. This fueled Bertrand's creation of the Icemen, basically lesser conduits created for the sole purpose of being sold to the highest bidder. As Cole put it, they would basically be the start of a new age arms race. The grueling experimentation one way or another activated Quo's latent conduit gene, and she gains the ability of cryokinesis. This detailing in ice projection, ice blast, and some sort of frost teleport / shimmer, I'm not sure. The second conduit is Nyx, a New Marais native and perfect showcase of an unstable conduit. Nyx was born to the swamps, an area she described as filled with crazies, thieves, and killers, something her mother was all of. Nyx takes Cole to the site where she received her powers, a recreation in a sense of Ground Zero, a site too familiar with Cole. Now, Nyx became a conduit when Bertrand, once again, assembled dozens of swamp dwellers and miscreants, all for the purpose of fueling his transformation into a conduit with his very own ray sphere. This activated both Bertrand and Nyx. Nyx gained the ability to control an oil-like napalm substance. This substance is not only explosive, but also adhesive, with her ability functioning similarly as means of teleportation. Cole can choose to transfer powers with either of the two and gain either Cole's ice abilities or Nyx's napalm abilities. Though Cole does gain their powers, they're realistically functioning as subtypes in my opinion and can't be used interchangeably, so it's sad we didn't get to see some of trio abilities like where you could use Nyx's Firebird to ram into a target, jump off Ice Pillar with Cole's powers, and I don't know, use his own Thunder Drop or Thunderstorm afterwards. It'd be pretty cool, but maybe that'd be too much. In terms of feats in Infamous 2, Cole has to contend with arguably more dangerous enemies and new Marais' tightly packed design, which to me, unless out on the open water and the swamps, truly felt like being surrounded on all sides. You fight the militia and the swamp creatures within the first few missions, and even powered down, Cole, going back to his durability, still resists rocket fire, gunfire, high impact crashes, and the brute strength of various types of monstrosities, and the Icemen, though lesser conduits, some varying, were still an elite force of superpowered soldiers, dangerous enough to have literally started a meta-human arm race, and Cole could sweep through ranks of these people like toy soldiers. You can even beat the building-sized Bertrand in his full conduit form, though with some assist from the locals, but overall, in the end, Infamous and the remaining boss battles show either outcome. Cole is just stronger than any of the conduits present. Quo, Nyx, Bertrand, or even the Beast. Moving on to the end game, we'll start with the good ending, quote unquote the canon one. We see that once we choose to activate the Rayfield inhibitor, aka the RFI, that Dr. Wolf lied. It won't just kill the Beast, its activation will kill every conduit on the planet, this causing an interesting 180 in the story. Quo, who was seen as good, chooses self-preservation and wants to join the Beast. Nyx, who usually represented the chaotic and unhinged choice, wants the Beast dead for killing her domesticated mutants, not because he wants to nuke the planet. Okay, well, I guess that wasn't that much of a parallel. Whichever you choose, you will fight the other. Although I gotta say, Nyx's ending isn't really fair either way. She's either gonna suicide herself to injure the Beast or be killed at the hands of Cole, which in my opinion is kind of bullshit, because either way, Quo gets to either survive or she just admits she was afraid of death and Nyx and Cole were right all along, so Nyx just died for no fucking reason. But canon-wise, the good ending is the one we'll have to go with. Cole, intending to fight against the Beast, regains his full powers and allies with the forces of New Marais, and back to full strength goes head-to-head with the Beast, and this time is fully capable of standing against it. He additionally, after absorbing the power of the RFI, absolutely floors the Beast, putting Cole directly above the Beast, who I stated was continental or even higher. And as we managed to grind out the battle with the Beast and learn more information, the Beast was converting people into conduits, and everything else was the subsequent fallout. So had he sought to purely actually be on a path of destruction, he easily could have swept the entire North American continent in my opinion, but that's just speculation. So as far as the good ending goes, we activate the RFI, killing every conduit in the world and curing the race fear plague. But Infamous Second Son shows us this isn't the end of the conduit gene either, because I'm assuming it's highly adaptive and could even adapt to the planet-wide nuking. But summing up the video, here are some key things to note about Cole McGrath. First off, the Race Sphere was a device capable of generating an explosion that could level over 5 square city blocks, and itself can withstand this destruction. Thus, we can scale Cole to similarly just as durable as the Race Sphere. The RFI, when powered, could generate a charge big enough to sweep the entire planet, this powered by Cole. Cole defeated the Beast, a creature essentially capable of controlling gravity and creating black holes. He's beaten other prime level conduits, their minions, and constantly demonstrates faster than light reaction speed in these acts. He can sustain high caliber gunfire damage, explosive damage, life-ending blunt force trauma, and even sports durability on the level of City or higher, with a destructive output that if applied correctly could easily devastate the entire world. We didn't even get to see the extent of Cole's powers, simply with it being limited to PlayStation 3 systems at the time, but this doesn't have to be theoretical. Cole should in all means be able to achieve Kessler's level of strength, if not greater, because to beat the Beast he had to be greater. He should be able to morph into electricity, create machinery or avatars of himself, and even like Kessler, travel back in time. Some would simply say fear the demon of Empire City, or hail to the patron saint of New Marais. I simply say that Cole McGrath was infamous. A man molded by his mistakes, literally, and in the end,